Welcome today. We're going to be practicing together the immune support sequence from BKS Iyengar. Make sure that you have some blankets, a couple of blocks, a bolster if you have one, a chair of some kind. This practice is aimed at an intermediate level student who has a practice of inversions. There'll be modifications, of course, if you're not practicing inversions at this moment. The practice is about an hour, and you can of course make it longer or shorter by pausing the video. But either way, this is a really restorative and nourishing practice to be doing during these stressful times. So our first pose is going to be Uttanasana. This is standing forward bend. Just watch for a moment. You'll have your feet as wide as your hips. Notice the arms and the legs are straight, and as I press the thighs directly back and extend the sides of the trunk forward, you'll notice how the spine gets longer, the sides of the trunk get longer. I maintain that as I bring the hands down and let the head and neck release down. To come on out, bring the hands forwards and onto the hips to come on out of the pose. Stand with your feet as wide as your hips and lift and spread your toes. Extend downwards through the front edges of your feet, the ball mounds of the feet, spreading from the big toe mound to the little toe, and then to the inner and the outer edges of your heels. Maintain that even balance on your feet as you exhale and bend forwards. Press the fronts of your thighs to the backs of the thighs and lengthen the sides of your chest forwards. Now on your next exhalation, walk your hands back and let your head and neck release down. Extend downwards through the ball mounds of your feet. Extend downwards through the inner and outer edges of your heels. Draw upwards through the fronts of your thighs. And on your exhalation, lengthen the sides of your trunk downwards towards the floor. Adjust with your hands. You can even move your hands a little further away back behind your feet and bend your elbows also slightly closer towards the hand side. On your exhalation, soften your neck, soften your jaw, soften your face. Prashant Iyengar often describes the breath as a limb. And we use our limbs to move around in the world. Can you, with your exhaling breath, use your breath as a limb to allow for the sides of your trunk to release down a little bit more? The extension of your legs has to be maintained in order for the spine to lengthen fully and completely. So continue to press down evenly through the front edges of your feet, the back edges of your feet. Draw your arches upwards towards your kneecaps, upwards towards the fronts of your thighs. And notice how it facilitates even more release downwards through the sides of your trunk. Exhale and let go. Soften your jaw, soften your face, soften your eyes. And then to come out of the pose, extend your trunk forwards, walk your hands forwards, and then bring your hands to your hips as you inhale and come on all the way up. Just rest for a moment, join your feet together. Our next pose is going to be Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. And for this, you can take head support. So I'm going to use a blanket, and you can take the blanket and fold it in three and fold it in half, and you might even need to take a second blanket. So as I come down from the hands and the knees, notice from here, as I tuck the toes under, that the crown of the head today will release downwards towards the blanket. See that you don't force your head down onto the blanket, but as you extend your arms and your legs away from each other, see where your head falls. And if you need an extra blanket, go ahead and you can go ahead and get one. When you come out of the pose, bring your knees downwards towards the floor and just rest in this position, Adho Mukha Virasana. So get the props that you need. And then when you're ready to come up, start off on your hands and knees. See that your hands are as wide as your shoulders. And for today, take your index fingers and place them directly forwards. Tuck your toes under and then lift your knees up. Let your head and neck release downwards. Press the fronts of your thighs strongly back towards the backs of your thighs. And take your inner groins straight down towards your inner thighs, towards your inner knees, towards your inner ankles, and to your heels. At the same time, extend forwards and downwards with your hands, positioning the inner edges of the hands, the thumbs and the index fingers release downwards towards the floor. And then draw upwards from your inner forearms to your inner upper arms, upwards towards your collarbones. And then continue that upward extension to the sides of your chest, the sides of your ribs, the sides of your waist. And see that the extension of your arms and your legs is ongoing and even increasing. And then from there, allow for your head and your neck to release towards the blanket, so that in fact there is a little bit of weight on your head, that there are 5 parts of your body in contact with the floor. Similar to your Uttanasana, allow for your breath to be a limb, to invite some extra movement, perhaps some releasing movement, perhaps some extension, as you take your exhaling breath. Use your inhalation to reinvigorate the work of your thighs, pressing the fronts of your thighs to the backs of your thighs. And see if you can roll to the arch side of the metatarsals of your feet and broaden the backs of your legs. There's an ongoing extension of your inner arms from the inner edges of your hands as they release down, push down, and then your inner forearms and inner upper arms as they draw upwards away from the floor. And then on your next exhalation, you'll bend your legs and bring your knees to the floor. Tuck your toes under and release, bringing your head down. Take a couple of breaths here. Recover. And then when you're ready, come on up. Our next pose is going to be Salamba Shirshasana, headstand. Before we go into the pose, I'm going to give a modification. If you're not going to be working on Shirshasana today, because you're not inverting, you're going to be taking a pose called Supta Baddha Konasana, and you'll need to have a bolster, a blanket for your head, and you can take a second blanket. You'll be sitting in front of the bolster like so, and you'll take the blanket, opening it so it's a little wider, a little larger, and then you'll roll it and wrap it over your ankles underneath your shins. The other blanket underneath your head, come all the way up underneath your neck. Notice before you set this up, the position that the forehead releases towards the nose to the chin, downwards towards the chest in this direction. And you'll be here for the duration that we'll be doing our Shirshasana. When you're ready to come out of Supta Baddha Konasana, you'll just bring your legs together and roll all the way over off the support onto your right side. So from here, those of you who are doing Shirshasana, headstand, make sure that you have your mat, and you'll fold your mat in 4. Place it either in a wall or in the center of the room. And then we'll get ready to go up. You'll place your elbows down so that the elbows are as wide as your shoulders. And interlace the fingers all the way to the roots of your hands and very lightly cross your thumbs. Slide your knees closer to the mat and then place the crown of your head down. For today, let the back of the head rest in your hands and press downwards straight through to the forearms. Raise your shoulders as you lift your knees up. As you walk in now with your feet, lift your shoulders much, much higher and press downwards into the floor with your forearms. Lift upwards from your heels to your buttocks and lift your shoulders more. And then ever so lightly let the legs come away from the floor. Bring your heels to your buttocks. Lift the shoulders and then slowly extend your legs up straight to Shirshasana. Press downwards through your forearms. The cross of the forearm bones is adjacent to either sides of your ears. Can you extend straight down to those 2 points? And then draw upwards from your inner shoulders to the sides of your chest. Very softly draw your front ribs in and extend upwards from your inner thighs to your inner knees, upwards to your inner ankles, to your inner heels. Fully straighten your legs. As you take the fronts of your thighs straight upwards towards the ceiling, also take the tops of your buttocks straight upwards towards the backs of your knees towards the ceiling. At the beginning of this pose, the Lamba Shirshasana, there are a tremendous number of actions and instructions. What extends down, what lifts up. And then eventually what moves forwards and what moves back. And you want to observe that as you move up and down and forwards and backwards, that eventually there is a sense of coming to the center. And that the pose develops and evolves a kind of easefulness, a quietness. Lift your shoulders and have an ongoing lift from your inner shoulders upwards towards the sides of your chest. Press the fronts of your thighs to the backs of your thighs. And as you take your top buttocks upwards towards your heels, pull your middle buttocks in. See if you can narrow the pose from the front to the back. See if you can extend the pose from your forearms as you anchor them downwards, to your shoulders upwards, to the extension of your inner legs upwards towards the ceiling. Allow for the limb of your breath to be calm. Slow, soft, gentle breaths. Quieten your face, quieten your gaze. Now raise the shoulders up, and on your exhalation, you'll bend your legs, bringing your heels towards your buttocks. The shoulders lift up much, much higher as you draw your knees towards your chest, and then bring your feet onto the floor. You'll rest with your head down, toes extended back, Adho Mukha Virasana. Those of you in Supta Baddha Konasana, bring your legs together, roll to your side, and come on up. Our next pose is Dvipada Viparita Dandasana. This is back bend in the chair. Make sure that you have a support for your head and your neck if you need it. I'm going to show the pose so that you can see the extension of the feet and the legs. The seat of the chair will face the center of the room. Notice that I sit towards the side of the chair that's closest to the wall with the buttocks. The hamstrings are off the chair. And then from here I arc the chest and come back, keeping the top edges of the shoulder blades right on the edge of the chair. And then we extend the legs out one at a time. I pull downwards with my elbows and arms and lift upwards with the chest. And then to come on out, I bend the legs, bring the elbows onto the chair seat. There's a lift of the chest as I come on all the way up. So let's go ahead. Take Dvipada Viparita Dandasana. As I mentioned from before, if you need a support for your head, you can take a block for your head, you can take a bolster for your head, and I'll show that as we go into the pose. So carefully step into the chair and bring your buttocks to the side of the chair that's closest to the wall. Now strongly lift upwards through the sides of your chest, and then from there arc back. And as you lay down on the chair, keep the sides of your chest lifted. If you need a block, you can at this point put the block underneath the back of the head like I'm showing. Then you'll pull down with your shoulders, with your elbows, and lift upwards towards the ceiling with your chest. Extend your legs one at a time, slowly, pushing into the wall with your heel, and then eventually extend your other leg straight. Have your legs apart, and then push from your inner thighs to your inner ankles in towards the wall. Pull with your arms straight downwards towards the floor, and lift upwards towards the ceiling with your chest. Those of you with a block underneath the back of the head, you can start off with the block high, and then eventually you might be able to turn the block a little bit lower. It might mean that you adjust the distance away from your chair, but see that you maintain the extension of your legs, and as you press the thighs downwards towards the floor, can you turn the inner thighs down and your outer thighs upwards? Push your inner heels towards the wall. As you pull down with your elbows, lengthen the sides of your waist and ribs and chest away from the wall. Soften your jaw, soften your face. Allow for your breath, your extra limb, to give you more extension to the front of your body and more strength and support from the back of your body. Pull downwards with your shoulders towards your elbows, and be in an ongoing effort to lift upwards through the sides of your chest, taking your back ribs up and away from the chair. And even if they don't actually lift off the chair, have a sense that they could. Take your outer thighs towards the ceiling. Take your middle buttocks towards the ceiling. And extend from your inner thighs to your inner knees to your heels towards the wall. Have a sense that the front of your body is becoming longer and the back of your body is becoming stronger. To come on out of the pose, you'll bring your elbows back onto the chair seat. Bend your legs, bring your feet to the floor, and then as you lift your chest, come on all the way up. And then just take a few moments sitting quietly, observing your breath, observing your state of being, your state of mind. And then very carefully step out of the chair. Our next pose is going to be Salamba Savangasana, and we're going to be doing some variations, Halasana, Ekapara Savangasana. If you need a chair for Halasana, then you'll be working with a chair. I'm going to show with and without a chair. I like to set up with the mat folded in half. I take 3 blankets, and you can also take 4. can stack the blankets on top of each other with the folded edges of the blankets facing in the same direction. As I mentioned, I'm going to be showing this with a chair, so this will be your setup. For those of you who are not inverting today, you're going to take a bolster and a block, and you'll put the block at the wall. And I'm just going to be showing this position, this posture, while those of you setting up for shoulder stand set up for your pose. So notice that I sit towards the front edge of the bolster, the side that's closest to the wall, and then I get to lie back on the bolster, shifting myself onto the floor so the shoulders are just touching the floor and the back of the neck is long. From this position, I don't slide back any further. I just push with the bolster, push with my feet to slide the bolster further away, and then I can extend the legs out onto the block and then release the shoulders down like so. So if you're not doing Salamba Savangasana, this will be your pose. When you're ready to come out, you bend the legs and push the bolster towards the wall, yourself away from the wall, and then you can roll to your side and come in. If you're doing Setu Bandha on the bolster, you can do it for the same duration that we'll be doing Savangasana. So those of you doing Salamba Savangasana, you'll lie back on the blankets with your shoulders lifted up onto the blankets with about an inch to spare. If you're using the chair, you push the bottom legs of the chair away so that the chair is arm distance away. Hands will come onto the bolster support, and then you'll swing your legs over onto the chair or onto the floor. From this position, I'll roll onto the very tops of the shoulders, and then the hands come onto the back. I'm going to be taking the chair away. Those of you who need the chair, make sure that you keep it close by. Have your feet on the chair. This is Halasana. We're going to be here for a little bit. As you press downwards through your shoulders, through your elbows, use your hands to lift the skin of your back upwards. Straighten your legs. Press the fronts of your thighs to the backs of your thighs towards the ceiling. And completely relax your throat. Completely relax your neck. Completely relax your face. And if you're wearing glasses, you can just take them off and put them to your side. Halasana is a very quiet pose. The legs have to maintain their extension. The shoulders have to maintain their support as they extend downwards into the blankets. Use your hands to take your back ribs in and up. And then extend and push from your inner thighs to your inner knees, to your inner ankles, to your inner heels. And then from here we'll come into Savangasana. You can come up one leg at a time, but if you're able to come up with bent legs, both legs at a time, you can do that. Press your shoulders down. As you draw your little fingers into your back ribs, can you also press your elbows down and use the support of your arms and your hands to keep the sides of your chest lifted upwards. Notice the legs are straight and that I stack the heels above the knees, above the hips, above the shoulders. Push upwards from your inner thighs to your inner heels towards the ceiling, and strongly draw your middle buttocks in, your back ribs in. Soften your throat. Soften your gaze. Relax your eyes. Savangasana means whole body pose. The arms, the responsibility they have is to maintain the extension of the torso. The legs, as they extend upwards, have a responsibility to maintain the extension of the spine. There is a constant recycling of action in your arms and in your legs to maintain the uprightness of this pose we call Somersault, supported shoulder balance. Allow your breath to be soft, not labored or forced. See that the shoulders extend downwards, press downwards, and observe that once in a while you have to adjust your shoulders again and roll on to the tops of your shoulders to maintain the extension of your chest, to maintain the lift of your spine, to maintain the vertical extension of your pose. Notice how quickly the legs have a heaviness to them and slowly start to drop towards the chest side. When this happens, press the fronts of your thighs to the backs of your thighs and draw your buttocks strongly into the body. Fully extend your left leg upwards towards the ceiling, and then you'll take your right leg halfway down for Assailant. Extend your left inner thigh upwards towards your left inner heel to the ceiling. Can you make your left leg taller, in fact? And with the extension of your left leg, roll onto the tops of the shoulders a little bit. See if you can allow for more extension from your side chest upwards towards your side ribs, to the waist upwards towards your left leg. And then maintain the vertical extension as you draw your right leg up to meet your left leg. Extend your right leg up, take your left leg down to 90 degrees. Again, roll onto the tops of your shoulders, press your shoulders down, and then extend upwards through your inner right thigh, upwards towards your inner right heel. And those of you doing Setu Bandha, make sure that there's a similar extension of your inner legs towards your inner heels towards the wall. Now reach up with your right leg, make the right leg taller and longer as you draw your left leg upwards. Join the legs together. Keep the left leg extended fully. Turn your right leg out to the side for Salangasana. Take the leg to 90 degrees, but out to the side. The leg doesn't come all the way to the floor, but it's a diagonal extension. And then push from your inner thighs to your inner knees, to your ankles, to your heels, and even extend into the big toe mounds of your feet. Push your inner legs away. And then reach up to your top leg, your left leg, and raise your right leg up to meet the left leg, bringing the legs together. Take your right leg upwards, turn the left leg out, bring your left heel to the arch of your right foot, and then start to reach the leg away. Again, a diagonal extension, 90 degrees, hip height. Use your top leg, your vertical leg, to maintain a strong extension of your whole torso upwards. And then push from your inner thighs outwards to your inner heels, pushing through the big toe mounds. And then with your right leg extended up more, and then raise your left leg up, bringing the legs together. Now to come out of the pose, bring your heels to your buttocks, your knees towards your chest, and then extend your legs out to Halasana. Release your hands towards the bolster, and then you can bend your legs and come on all the way out. Those of you doing Setu Bandha, bend your legs, bring your feet to the floor, and then you'll slide yourself away from the wall and push your bolster towards the wall. Rest for a moment with your legs bent, feet on the floor. And then you can slide further back, those of you who came out of Savangasana, until your buttocks and hips come to the same level as your shoulders. And then you can roll over to your side and come all the way up. Okay. So our next pose is going to be Viparita Karani, legs up the wall. You're going to need for this pose a bolster, at least a couple of blankets, and your sticky mat, and of course a spot at the wall. I like to fold the mat before and place it with a narrow edge touching the wall like so. The bolster comes not all the way to the wall, but about 6 inches away from the wall. You can fold a blanket on top of the bolster. And then you'll take another blanket for your head. We're going to hold this pose for a fair bit of time. If you want to hold it for longer, you'll just put a pause on the video and you can hold it for much longer than I'm going to show it. I'm going to show how to come in. There are 2 ways to come into this pose. The first is a somersault. You'll place your head here and the shoulders will come onto the blanket like so. And then you just get to bring your feet up the wall and slide yourself down so that you're in this kind of shape. Notice the legs are straight and my buttocks are all the way back at the wall. Notice the abdominal area is parallel to the floor, same shape as the blanket and the bolster. And the sides of the chest are open over the top and the shoulders come onto the floor like so. To come on out, you bend your legs and slide all the way out, and then you can bend your legs and just rest them in this cross-leg position on the bolster. To come on out, you'll roll to your side. Now, for those of you who don't want to roll into the pose like I showed, you have to come in sideways. So watch from here how I bring my knees towards the center of the room, the buttocks are all the way back towards the wall. And then I thread my shoulder way underneath like this, bringing the shoulder quite close to the bolster. And then from there, I just get to swing around and bring myself a little bit closer to the wall like so that you end up in exactly the same shape. So go ahead and come into this pose, Viparita Karani, which just literally means inverted posture. Let your shoulders release downwards towards the floor. And then extend your legs upwards towards the ceiling. There is a sense in this pose that your thigh bones become heavier and literally drop downwards towards the floor in that space in between where the bolster is and where the wall is. If you find it's hard to straighten your legs, move the whole posture further away from the wall so that your legs are more angled and not straight up and down. Relax your shoulders, but have an ongoing lift upwards through the sides of your chest. Start to observe this limb of your breath. And notice that as you inhale, the breath naturally fills into the sides of the ribs, into the top of the chest. And that when you exhale, the breath releases from your abdomen downwards towards the floor. Almost as if your abdomen deflates. So your inhalation and your exhalation begin and end in two very different parts of your body. Slow, soft, inhaling breath. Slow, soft, exhaling breath. Become aware of the movement of your breath, the very spontaneous direction of your breath. And see if you can let go into the watching. Soften your face, soften your eyes, soften the skin of your forehead, and let the front of your brain release downwards towards the back of your brain, towards the floor. Relax your jaw, relax your eyes, softening your gaze with every exhalation, eyes open or eyes closed. Allow yourself to simply be in this pose without pushing or pulling, without forcing your breath. Slow, soft, gentle inhalation. Slow, soft, gentle exhalation. You can hold this pose for much longer. But I'm going to come out of this pose now. As you bend your legs, you'll slide your feet down the wall and push yourself head first onto the blanket, and just allow yourself to slide back on the blanket, and then you can cross your legs and let them rest on top of the bolster. Take a few breaths here. Relax your legs and relax your arms. Switch the cross of your legs. Let the legs release again. When you're ready to come out, you'll bring your legs together, roll over to your right side, take a couple of breaths on your right side, and then you'll just lift yourself all the way up. So our next pose is going to be a variation of Setu Bandha, called cross bolsters Setu Bandha. You'll take your mat, and you'll need to have at least one bolster. This certainly can be done without having two. For the ease of this demonstration, I'll just show with two bolsters. It's called cross bolsters because it crosses, just like this. Because the sticky mat has a friction to it, attraction to it, put a bolster here. Excuse me, put a blanket here. If you don't happen to have two bolsters, you can easily replace the low bolster just with a couple of folded blankets. But you want to make sure that you at least have one that's going over the top like so. So notice from here, before you come into the pose, just watch this part, that I sit on the edge of the bolster that for me is closest to the wall, and you'll notice the other side of the bolster tipped up. Without moving side to side, notice how I lie back and just push slightly with my feet so that I can take the head down to the floor. But notice that I'm not on the crown of the head or the back of the head, but really halfway in between, so the front and the back of the neck are long. And also notice that my shoulders are not touching the floor. This will be the first part of this pose. And then we'll do it with straight legs. If it bothers your lower back in the slightest, you can just do this with bent legs. But this is the first two parts of this pose. Shoulders are off the floor, legs are bent, and then we straighten them. The following two parts of the pose, notice how I slide a little further back and down so that the shoulders come just onto the floor. But you'll notice that most of the back of my body, from the upper back to the middle back to the lower back, are supported on the bolster. Again, we'll do this with bent legs for a little while, and then you get to do this with straight legs. To come on out, you bend your legs and slide all the way out, like so, until the buttocks come to the same level as your shoulders, and you can cross your legs like we did in the previous pose. To come on out, you'll bend your legs and roll over to your right side to come on out in the pose. So let's set up for this position. Make sure that when you do the cross of the bolster, that it really is directly in the middle, one direction and then the other direction. And then when you're ready, sit on the side of the bolster that's closest to the wall. Notice that the other side tips upwards, and then you'll lie back and you'll tip with the bolster until your head comes lightly down onto the floor. And then pause right here. You can keep your eyes open or you can keep your eyes closed, it doesn't matter much. But just let your shoulders relax. Observe the softness in your neck at the back and the front of your neck. And with your exhalations, just allow for more release to your shoulders. Sometimes the shoulders don't know how to relax, and in this variation of the pose, you can literally let them release and relax into nothing, into space. And then from here, you'll just extend your legs out. Notice that the legs stay apart. Stretch your legs straight and extend all the way towards your inner heels, like we've done in all of our poses today. The legs don't have to maintain a constant extension, but just once in a while, straighten your legs. Extend your outer thighs upwards towards the ceiling and your inner heels directly away from you. Relax your shoulders. Relax your neck. Soften your jaw, your face. If it bothers your lower back at all, you'll just bend your legs and you can bring your feet flat onto the floor. I forgot to take my glasses off, but I just remembered, so if you're wearing glasses, you can take them off and put them to your side. Slow, soft inhalations. slow, soft exhalations. Even though this is a back bending pose, it is a supported back bending pose. And you can allow for your chest to open and release over the support. And once again, allow your breath to be this limb that allows some movement in and across your collarbones and your sternum bone, allowing your shoulders to soften, neck, throat, quiet. To come to part 3 of the pose, bend your legs one at a time and just draw yourself slightly closer to the floor so your shoulders touch down. Your head will change so that your face is upwards towards the ceiling, and there'll be more length to the back of your neck here. Stay with your legs bent for a few breaths. Soften your throat. Soften your jaw. Relax your shoulders. Notice, like the previous inverted pose that we did, how the breath naturally draws into the top of the chest and into the side ribs on your inhalation. And that the exhalation allows for your abdomen to become almost slightly hollowed, quiet, soft. If it's okay for your lower back, you can extend your legs straight from here. The bolster's always slightly in the way, so you'll have to extend your legs so that they're apart. Once in a while, engage your legs. Press your thighs downwards towards the floor. Draw your outer thighs upwards towards the ceiling. Extend your inner thighs outwards to your inner heels. The extension of the legs allows for an extension to your spine. The softness to your shoulders allows for more lift to your chest. This pose can be done for a long time, 5, 10, even 15 minutes. And it's one of the poses that we should evolve to hold for periods of time because of the remarkable therapeutic qualities that Setu Bandha gives. There are hundreds of variations on the setup of this pose, and I just chose this one today. And if you feel like holding the pose for longer, you can press pause on the video. But I'm going to come out now. And to come out, you'll bend your legs one at a time and then just slide a little further back until your shoulders and hips are all on the same level. And then you'll cross your legs on the bolster. Let your legs relax. And then you can switch the cross of your legs. To come on out, bring your legs together and roll over to your right side. Slowly come all the way out. Our last pose today will be Shavasana. Always make sure that you are not cold in Shavasana and that you have a support underneath your head. If you feel discomfort in your lower back, you can take a bolster and place it underneath the backs of your knees or underneath the backs of your thighs. I'm going to show the pose and then I'm going to move out of the picture and you can lie down and I'll just talk you through a Shavasana. But to come in, take a moment to set yourself up directly in the center of your mat. You can lift the buttocks up and use your hands to gently draw the tops of the buttocks in the direction of your heels, and then extend your legs out straight. Notice how I start off with the feet together and then interlace the hands behind the head, and when you lift your head up, you can just see and notice if you're in a straight line. Once you can see that, you can let your head release down, and then from here, notice that the blanket can come up underneath the back of your skull or it can come all the way underneath the back of your neck. And that's entirely up to you. I always prefer it underneath the back of the neck. Then from here, just like a lot of the poses we've done today, you see how I tuck the shoulders slightly underneath, and then the palms turn upwards towards the ceiling and the arms will come to the side. It's at this point that you can then relax your legs completely. Notice, and as I said, I'm going to come out of the pose in a moment, so just watch for a moment, how the idea with the blanket is that it should be high enough so that you can allow for the skin of your forehead to release in this direction. If you notice that there's tension in your neck at all, or you can, when you open your eyes, see the windows behind, you need to put another blanket underneath your head. The back of your neck and the front of your neck should be long. When you come out of Shavasana, you'll bend your elbows one at a time and bring your hands somewhere onto your torso. And then notice how I bend the legs one at a time and roll over to the right side, and then you can lift yourself all the way up. So go ahead and make sure that you have all that you need in terms of a blanket for underneath your head, and also if you're cold, a blanket to cover you. If you need support for your lower back, you can put a bolster underneath the backs of your knees or the backs of your thighs. Start off with your legs bent. Bring your hands to the tops of your buttocks and then lift the buttocks up a couple of inches and push the tops of the buttocks in the direction of your heels. This is done to lengthen your lower back, and then you can gently bring your buttocks back down and extend your legs straight, bringing your feet together, your legs together for a moment. Interlace your hands behind the back of your head and just lift your head up gently to lengthen the back of your neck, but also to look at your feet. And if you're not straight, just adjust your feet and your legs so that you're straight. Release your head back down on the blanket. Now with one shoulder at a time, tuck your shoulders underneath so that your chest is lifted open. And then relax your arms and turn your palms upwards towards the ceiling. And then completely let go of your legs. Take a few long exhalations. The limb of your breath can draw you into a state of softness, of letting go, particularly with your exhaling breath. It is said with our inhaling breath that we draw the universe deep into our soul. And then as we exhale, we join the universe. And through our awareness of our breath, in many ways we cease to see ourselves as being so very separate from those around us. Let go of your legs. Let go of your arms. And let the front of your body soften and release onto the back of your body. And the back of your body soften and release onto the floor. Slow, soft inhalation. Slow, soft exhalation. Completely relax your shoulders. And release your shoulders towards your forearms, towards your hands. And soften any gripping in your hands. Let the mounds of your thumbs become quiet. Soften your throat. Release the back of your neck from the base of your skull to your shoulders. Breath by breath, layer by layer, wave by wave. Relax. Let go of any gripping around your cheekbones. Soften your eyes, the skin around the outer edges of your eyes, your temples and your forehead. Softer, quieter, watching yourself right now, right here. Slow, soft inhalation. Slow, soft exhalation. Watching your breath. Watching yourself. Completely let go. I'm going to be completely quiet for 1 minute. Begin now how to lengthen your following inhalation and deepen the following exhalation. Bend your elbows one at a time. Place your hands somewhere on your torso that gives comfort to you. Rest there a moment. And now bend your legs one at a time and roll over to your right side. Take a couple of breaths on your side. And then slowly come up to sit, lifting your head last of all. Thank you for tuning in.